Hi, I'm Angry Bill, and this is Prehospital Wisdom. Thanks for watching. If you take a minute to hit the subscribe button, know that I appreciate you. It's kind of late for a post like this, but a New Year's is a time for resolutions, which are essentially an exercise in either changing old habits or making new habits. Coincidentally, I just finished reading The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business by Charles Duhigg. And it got me thinking about the habits that I have on the job. I don't think that I spend enough time at the beginning of my career thinking about establishing good habits. That's not to say that most of my habits are bad, just that some of them may be suboptimal. According to Duhigg, personal level habits are the brain shortcuts to perform common repetitive tasks. It begins with a cue, the habit kicks in, and a reward comes at the end. By using habits to perform common tasks like starting our car, our brain is freed to think about other things. It's cognitive offloading. You don't have to consciously think about all the steps, getting your keys out of your pocket, unlocking the door, sitting down, putting the keys in the ignition, all the other steps in order. It's an incredible evolutionary development to be able to think about your to-do list for the day while all those other actions are going on kind of by rote. If the habit is a positive one, that is. It's it. Think about the habits that you have when you're working. You probably don't realize how many of your actions are habitual. How you belt a patient onto the bed, what you do right after you get a call, what you do right after you decide to start an IV line, how you approach a patient, your personal introductions and the first few questions you ask a patient, how you take vital signs, how you give a verbal report, your initial actions when you walk up to a car crash, how you check out your ambulance before a shift, how you clean up your ambulance after a shift. There are dozens more. What do you do when you get a call? You put whatever you're doing down, I assume, but do you put it away or just toss it somewhere? Why? Do you look up the location on a map? When do you put gloves on? Why do you put gloves on at that point? What objects do you grab when you need to start an IV? Why do you choose those? Do you toss them next to you or do you lay them out in a specific way? Do you tear your tape beforehand or leave it on the roll? Why? What locations do you check first on a patient? What arm do you rope off? Why is that? How do you position your body? How many of your habits were created through the thoughtful consideration of, I want to make this a habit? Can you explain what you're trying to accomplish and why? If not, shouldn't you reconsider your habits and whether there are more optimal ways to accomplish those tasks? For me, there are a few habits that I've thoughtfully established. For example, I belt patients onto the bed the same way each time. My habit is to make sure they're on the bed correctly from the first. I tell them, we're sticklers for good posture here, but the seatbelts won't hit right unless the patient is on the bed right. People are uncomfortable when the chest straps are crossing up under their chin. I need the hip belts at the pelvis and the knee belts just above the knees. And as an aside, I hate it when people are slouched all down on the bed, feet hanging off the end, or worse, when the oxygen tank makes their Achilles sore. Yeah, it's because you're drooped on my bed like you're 14. If you want to be flat, the bed goes flat. I hate seeing patients sag down the damn bed, their head all pressed down to their chest because the head's the only thing on the elevated portion of the bed. So, once we get them positioned correctly, back to habits. I make sure the straps are snug without being tight, and I flip the buckle over so that the release button is down. I do that on every patient because I don't always know which ones will become unexpectedly squirrely en route to the hospital. It's easier to just habitually place the belts correctly rather than to struggle to rearrange the belts after everything has gone pear-shaped. Other habits have been incredibly hard to change. I would love to make it a habit to listen to breath sounds after each blood pressure. I could just move the stethoscope from the patient's arm to their chest. Instead, I have to make a choice to listen to breath sounds. I keep working at it though. Another habit's a bad one. Often, when I finish a call, my goal is to put a chew in. It's kind of the celebration of a completed call. Here's another example. I wish that I learned to start IVs left-handed. Think about the orientation of the patient's arms when they're laying on your bed in relation to your hands when you're sitting next to them on the ambulance bench. Your left hand offers a straighter line to start an IV without excessively abducting the patient's shoulder. To comfortably start an IV with your right hand on the patient's left arm, it's easiest to bring the patient's arm way out to a spot that is almost perpendicular to the rest of their body. My left hand has a straighter line. That's it. I'm starting all lines this year with my left hand. Establishing good habits is a primary task when you're training, but you may not realize it. Many of these habits that I have are the result of my first preceptors, my first trainers, and my first partners. It's an important responsibility, and I wish we more clearly understood that's what we're doing when we're training someone. Trainers insist that trainees perform tasks in a certain way, the way that a secondary is performed, for example. By repeating that lesson, a habit is established that'll probably follow that trainee for the rest of their career. If you're a training staff, I hope that you're establishing sensible habits in your trainees. Now that most of you are established providers, challenge yourself to think about which habits you have, critically examine them, ask yourself why you're doing them, and change them if there's a better or more logical, more intellectual, more efficient way to do the task. Don't be a slave to your habits. Change what needs to be changed. And a new year is a perfect time to start that process. As an aside, I would recommend reading this book. It's a pretty good read, and that it got me also thinking about the topic. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, share. This is Angry Bill for Pre-Hospital Wisdom. Until next time, stay safe.